I want to touch on this more out of spite and hatred for what's
Ouya!
going on. Yeah.
What the hell happened to the Ouya? People still have this thing?
So, remember the Ouya? The Ouya came out and it was supposed to revolutionize fucking console games. Basically, it was going to be a console you could hook up to your TV, and it is.
It is a console.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not like it doesn't exist.
It was released. It had
It was released.
huge fucking Kickstarter.
You can you hook it up to your TV, and it basically plays Android-based games. So, it was conceivably good for indie developers who needed a low entry system to get a game on and potentially get it into people's homes. Ouya released a initiative called Free the Games that I also believe we talked about very early on, where essentially you could kickstart your game and they would price match you. Basically, they would match your funding on your game.
Ouya would.
Ouya would, yes.
They'll put up the same amount of funding.
Until they ran out of $1 million, basically.
I think I remember hearing this
And they
story.
would fund you from... They would match your funds anywhere from, I think it was $5,000 to $250,000.
Okay.
Okay? And how they did that was, and I'm going from memory here, basically you got a chunk when the Kickstarter was done, you got a chunk when you submitted your beta, got a chunk when it was published, and you got a chunk when the exclusivity period was up.
And what would Ouya get out of the investment?
Ouya wanted people to develop games for
They
the
just
system.
wanted a way to
Yes.
get people in the door.
Yes,
to
they
develop
wanted
games.
people to
An
develop
incentive.
games so people would have a reason to buy the system.
Sure.
So it's incentive for developers, which would create incentive for buyers. The problem is a lot of these. So the winners of these matchings, they went on to make their games expecting this money to come through, and I honestly can't say that they are particularly naive, especially if they received payments, as they should have, according to the schedule. However, some of Ouya has recently been bought out by Razer, and who knows what the fuck's gonna happen?
The scooters?
I don't know. I don't believe so. Razer.
Remember Razer scooters?
Yeah, I do. People still fucking cruising to the goddamn store on them in La Mesa all the fucking time.
I just win them on the boardwalk.
Basically, a lot of these indie developers are being left without the funds to finish anything. I mean, they're in debt. They need to pay their artists. They need to finish off, payments, and they're being left high and dry on chunks of money that they were supposed to get. And that's more than a little fucked up. Supposedly, well, not supposedly, so far what I've heard is basically Ouya's response is like, not our fucking problem anymore. Sorry, bye, peace. And the issue is Razer is still using the Ouya name. So Ouya, the people who were running it are like, oh, we're not a company anymore. But the people who transferred are still using the name. So in a sense, Ouya is still backing down. There's a transfer of power, but there's still... They're not seeing through these commitments to the end.
I guess it would depend on the contract. And
well, the contract does state in like...
does it state that it carries over to if there's a change of ownership?
No, it says that in the event that something catastrophic happens to Ouya or whatever, that they might not see this money, but still it's disheartening at the very least. Even if it's contractually stated, it's disheartening that these indie developers who put their heart and effort into a game for this system in hopes that they could help it take off are now being boned and left with bills.
That is bad.
I mean, and that doesn't look good. I mean, what this does is it leaves a bad taste in the mouth for anyone else. It leaves a bad taste in the mouth for consumers and anyone else who wants to try to make an open source system where they're going to try to get indie developers to make games for it to sell it. There's going to be a lot of trepidation for that.
Well, it seems like a risky venture from Ouya to say, oh, we have all this money to dish out. And then what happens if you never get that fan base to return the investment of buying the amount of games to make up for it?
Which is what happened. I mean,
because all these people that bought an Ouya, and I don't know of anyone that's ever come up to me and said, yeah, I own an Ouya and it kicks ass. I don't know of anyone. I just don't.
Even my most annoyingly over-optimistic friends, and I love them dearly,
That got an
Ouya were done with the fucker in like 2 weeks to a month.
Really? They were just done?
They were just done. Boxing it back up, putting it away. They were finished with it. Now, I know some people, but mostly developer friends, who kept the thing out so they could run builds on it, and they really wanted to, like, you know, get something good out on there. And even like 6 months after that, I stopped really hearing about it. Like, I think I still have a friend working on an Ouya game, and the sad thing is it looks like a good game. But yeah, I mean, the Ouya hype train, I mean, died almost immediately after launch, and they kept trying to pump new blood and new hype into it. You know, the first time they did this free the games thing, it was gamed by a bunch of people, so they had to, you know, redo basically this company did not know what the fuck they were doing. They released a contest, essentially that allowed people to game the system to get free money. Then they redid it. They got a bunch of real people in who wanted to do this and make games for the system, and now they're not paying them. And now they're selling off the fucking property.
All right. A nice mess all around, and of course the little guy gets screwed.